Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in our lives when our thoughts become louder than our voice, when silence feels heavier than words, and when the mind refuses to rest. Overthinking, it's not just a habit. It's a prison we build for ourselves, thought by thought, worry by worry. Buddhism teaches us that peace isn't something to be found outside. It's something to be uncovered within. Through its timeless wisdom, there are simple yet profound lessons that can free us from the endless noise of the mind. The first teaching reminds us of impermanence. Nothing stays the same. Not your pain, not your fear, not your current situation. Everything flows like a river. It moves, it changes, it fades. When you accept this truth deeply, you begin to loosen your grip on worry. You stop replaying the past or fearing the future, because you realize everything you're holding on to is already slipping away. Peace begins when you stop resisting the flow of life. The second teaching is mindfulness. It's about bringing your attention back to this very moment. The breath entering your lungs, the ground beneath your feet, the sound of your heartbeat. Overthinking is living in a time that doesn't exist, either the past or the future. But when you become mindful, the storm of thoughts begins to calm. You realize the present moment is all you ever truly have, and in that realization, peace starts to bloom naturally. The third teaching is non-attachment. We suffer not because life is hard, but because we cling to it, to people, to expectations, to outcomes. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering. When we learn to love without possession and live without control, our heart becomes light. Overthinking fades when we stop trying to make everything perfect and simply allow life to be what it is. Imperfect, yet beautiful. The fourth teaching is compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. The mind can be cruel when it overthinks. It judges, compares, and condemns. But when you look at yourself with compassion, you begin to quiet the inner critic. You understand that mistakes don't define you, and struggles don't diminish your worth. Compassion softens the mind. It melts the walls of fear and turns overthinking into gentle awareness. The fifth teaching is acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean you approve of everything. It means you stop fighting reality. You can't control every event, but you can control how you respond. When you stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Let it be," the weight on your chest begins to lift. Acceptance doesn't come from weakness. It comes from understanding that peace grows when resistance ends. And finally, the sixth teaching, letting go. Letting go isn't forgetting, it's freedom. It's releasing what you can't change, forgiving what's been done, and trusting the path ahead. The more you let go, the lighter you become. Your thoughts lose their grip, and your heart begins to breathe again. So, when your mind feels like a battlefield, remember these teachings: impermanence, mindfulness, non-attachment, compassion, acceptance, and letting go. Each one is a doorway to stillness. Each one is a reminder that peace was never missing. It was only hidden beneath the noise. And when you quiet the noise, even for a moment, you realize that the peace you've been chasing was always within you, waiting patiently to be found. Impermanence is one of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism because it reveals the truth that nothing in life lasts forever. Every emotion, every thought, every situation, no matter how painful or beautiful, is temporary. The reason we suffer so deeply is not because things change, but because we resist their change. We hold on to what we love and push away what we dislike, and in doing so, we create an inner war that never ends. When you begin to truly understand impermanence, you realize that overthinking is simply your mind's way of trying to control the uncontrollable. You replay old memories, analyze every mistake, and imagine every possible future outcome, hoping to find security in an uncertain world. But no matter how much you think, no amount of worry can stop time from moving forward. Everything you experience is constantly shifting. The sadness you feel today will soften, just as the joy you felt once slowly faded. Nothing stays in one form. This realization is not meant to make you hopeless. It is meant to free you. When you stop demanding permanence from a temporary world, you stop suffering. You begin to appreciate the moment for what it is: fleeting, delicate, alive. Even pain becomes easier to bear, because you know it will pass. Every storm has an ending, every wound heals, and every night gives way to morning. Overthinking thrives in the illusion that the past can be changed, or the future can be predicted, but the truth is, both are beyond your control. By embracing impermanence, you begin to live in the only moment that truly exists, the present. You start to see beauty even in endings, because you understand that endings are not losses, they are transformations. When a leaf falls, it gives way to new growth. When something leaves your life, it creates space for something new. Learning to live with the awareness of impermanence brings a gentle peace to your heart. You stop clinging to people or outcomes because you no longer fear change. Instead, you move with life, not against it. You learn to say goodbye with gratitude, to love without fear, and to live without anxiety. Impermanence doesn't take peace away. It gives it back to you, because it reminds you that nothing is ever truly lost. Everything simply transforms. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present in each moment, aware of your thoughts, emotions, and surroundings without judgment. It sounds simple, yet it is one of the hardest things to practice in a world filled with distractions and constant noise. The human mind has a tendency to wander, either back into the past or forward into the future. We replay conversations, rethink decisions, and worry about things that haven't even happened. This endless mental chatter creates overthinking, anxiety, and restlessness. But mindfulness offers a way out. It teaches you to bring your attention back to the present, where peace naturally lives. When you become mindful, you begin to notice how your thoughts rise and fade like waves in the ocean. You learn not to drown in them, but to simply watch them come and go. The mind becomes clearer, softer, and calmer when it's not being dragged into every story it tells. For example, instead of being lost in thoughts about tomorrow's problems, you notice your breathing, the steady rhythm that connects you to life itself. You start to feel the air moving in and out, the heartbeat within your chest, and the quiet that exists beneath all noise. In this awareness, you realize that the present moment is never as chaotic as your thoughts make it seem. Mindfulness is not about controlling your thoughts. It's about understanding them. It's about stepping back and seeing that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer behind them. Once you grasp this, overthinking begins to lose its power. When a thought of fear or doubt arises, you no longer react instantly. You acknowledge it, breathe through it, and let it pass. This simple act of awareness weakens the grip of negative thinking, strengthens your connection with inner stillness. When you live mindfully, even ordinary moments become extraordinary. Drinking water, feeling the warmth of sunlight, or hearing the sound of rain can bring a sense of deep calm. You realize that peace isn't something to search for. It's already here, hidden beneath your rushing thoughts. Mindfulness helps you slow down and notice life as it unfolds. It gives you the power to stop overthinking and start living, one conscious breath, one peaceful moment at a time. Non-attachment is one of the most liberating teachings in Buddhism. It doesn't mean you stop caring about people or things. It means you stop clinging to them. The root of much of our suffering is attachment. Our need to control outcomes, hold on to relationships, and possess moments that were never meant to last. When we attach ourselves too tightly to anything, whether it's a person, success, an idea, or even our own emotions, we give away our peace. Life becomes a constant struggle to keep everything in place. Even though everything is destined to change, overthinking often comes from this same place of attachment. You worry because you're afraid of losing something: love, respect, stability, or certainty. You analyze situations endlessly, trying to secure what you fear will slip away. But attachment is like holding water in your hands. The tighter you grip, the faster it escapes. When you learn to let go, you begin to experience a lighter way of living. You still love deeply, but without the fear of loss. You still strive for success, but without the pressure of control. You still care, but with freedom, not fear. True peace comes when you stop trying to make life obey your expectations. People will change, situations will shift, and sometimes things will fall apart. Not because you failed, but because that's how life flows. Non-attachment doesn't make you cold or distant, it makes you wiser. You start to see that everything is temporary, and that's what makes it precious. You no longer hold on to people out of fear, you cherish them out of love. You no longer cling to the past, you learn from it and move forward. You no longer chase happiness, you discover it in the act of letting go. When you release attachment, you create space for peace to enter. Your mind stops fighting what is and starts accepting what comes. You begin to trust that life has its own rhythm, its own wisdom. Sometimes, losing something you clung to is not a punishment. It's protection. It's life guiding you towards something new, something better aligned with your soul. Non-attachment doesn't take love or joy away. It allows them to grow freely, unchained by fear. In letting go, you don't lose yourself. You finally find the calm and freedom your heart has always been seeking. Compassion is one of the deepest and most healing practices in Buddhism, and it begins with yourself. We often believe compassion is only about being kind to others, but true compassion starts within. Overthinking thrives when you are harsh with yourself, when you criticize every mistake, doubt your worth, and replay moments you wish you could change. The mind becomes your greatest enemy when it's filled with self-judgment. Compassion turns that enemy into an ally. It teaches you to speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you love, with patience, understanding, and care. When you treat yourself with compassion, you begin to silence the harsh voice in your mind. Instead of asking, "Why did I fail?" you begin to ask, "What can I learn?" Instead of saying, "I'm not enough," you remind yourself that you are growing, that every step, even the hard ones, is part of your journey. Compassion softens the edges of your heart. It helps you see that mistakes don't make you broken, they make you human. When you forgive yourself for the past, you create space to grow in peace. Compassion for others also reduces overthinking. Many of our worries come from relationships. What others think, how they behave, or how they've hurt us. When you start to see others through the lens of compassion, you realize that everyone is struggling in their own way. People act from their pain, not always from their true nature. Understanding this doesn't excuse their behavior, but it releases you from resentment. When you forgive others, you free yourself from the weight of anger and the endless cycle of mental replay. Practicing compassion transforms the way you see life. Instead of reacting with frustration, you respond with calm. Instead of judging, you understand. Instead of comparing, you appreciate. Compassion doesn't mean letting others walk over you. It means choosing peace over pride. It's realizing that kindness doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. When your heart is filled with compassion, overthinking loses its grip. You no longer get stuck in what went wrong. You focus on what can heal. Compassion turns pain into wisdom and conflict into clarity. It teaches you that peace is not found in perfection, but in the gentle act of being kind to yourself and to the world around you. Acceptance is one of the most transformative lessons in Buddhism. It teaches us that peace begins the moment we stop fighting reality. Most of our suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from our resistance to it. We wish things were different. We question why they happened, and we spend endless energy trying to change what's beyond our control. The mind refuses to rest because it is busy rewriting the past or fearing the future. Acceptance doesn't mean you like everything that happens. It means you choose to stop resisting what already is. When you accept the present moment, you stop giving power to what you cannot change and start finding strength in what you can. Overthinking often grows from a lack of acceptance. You keep revisiting moments that hurt, trying to make sense of them, trying to find a reason. But not everything will make sense, and not every question will be answered. The need to understand everything is the mind's way of staying in control. Acceptance breaks that illusion. It teaches you that peace doesn't depend on knowing why things happened, but on trusting that life still has meaning, even when you don't understand it. Sometimes the things that seem unfair or painful are quietly shaping you into someone stronger and wiser. When you begin to practice acceptance, you stop wasting your energy on resistance and start focusing on growth. You see pain as a teacher instead of an enemy. You realize that every challenge has a purpose, even if it's hidden. Acceptance doesn't make you passive, it makes you peaceful. It allows you to take action with a calm heart, instead of reacting with anger or fear. It teaches you to let go of the should have been and live fully in the what is. In moments of hardship, acceptance whispers that you are exactly where you need to be to learn what your soul came here to learn. When you stop fighting life, life starts flowing with you. Acceptance brings clarity. You begin to see that even in uncertainty, you can still find peace. You stop trying to fix everything outside of you and start healing what's within. True acceptance is not giving up, it's growing up. It's understanding that peace is not found in perfect circumstances, but in the calmness of a heart that can say, "This too is part of my journey. Thanks for watching."